Hello, everybody. My name's Chris, and this is my wife, Liz.
Hi!
Hi. And today we're going to do Horizon Zero Dawn.
One of my favorite games.
One of her favorite games. She will not put it down. And like customary marriage fashion, she's going to do most of the talking.
It's only because I've completed it twice.
Twice,
and
yes.
I just started it over for a third time tonight.
Does that illustrate how much she loves this game?
100 hours into it.
So you are the authority on this, so that's why you're talking. All right, Horizon Zero Dawn. It was released earlier this year, February 28th to be exact. 2017, in case you're listening to this years in advance. 2.6 million units were sold in the first 2 weeks alone. It's Guerrilla Games' best launch ever. Within 2 months, 3 million units had sold. In 2015 and 2016, before the game was even released, when it was in E3 and Tokyo Game Show and all that,
And alpha and beta modes.
Yep. It had won the best original game from the Game Critics Awards. Okay, in 2017, it won Best Animation from Develop Awards. Also this year, it won Best Storytelling, Best Game Performance, Best PlayStation Game from the Golden Joystick Award. It also won the Gold Prize and User's Choice Prize from PlayStation Awards. The Game Awards, it's been nominated for Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Art Direction, Best Performance by Ashley Birch, who plays Aloy, your main character, and Best Action Adventure Game. And it won the Best Game of the Year from Liz.
Yes, it did. So it is the best game of the year.
Yes, and just over a month ago, this being December 10th, the first DLC, The Frozen Wilds, was released.
The only DLC.
The only DLC. All right, so why don't you go ahead and tell us about this Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition that just came out?
So on December 5th, they released the Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, which retails right now for $49.99 at Best Buy. All of my prices that I'm going to be listing on this review are from Best Buy's website. Now, to get an idea, to get the full game, you would pay, or the regular game, you would pay $39.99, and then the expansion, which is actually only available on the PlayStation Store, is $19.99. So that right there comes to about $60, $70. So at $50, you're getting both of those. You also get 3 new game modes. There's story mode, which I haven't played around with it yet. It supposedly lessens the aggression of all the machines in the game. New Game Plus allows you to start a new game while keeping all of your gears and skills and stats unlocked from previous playthroughs, which is amazing, by the way.
And your level.
And your level. So my new game that I just started for the 3rd time, I'm level 53. And then there's Ultra Hard Mode. That enhances the machine senses, behaviors, and other features to make play more challenging. I was going to try this mode next, but then I was looking and I'm like, that is 4 levels harder than the difficulty I just played it through at, so I just upped it by 2 levels, so I'm going to see how that goes. And then the weapons and outfits, which were available for players who purchased the Digital Deluxe, the Limited Edition, and the Collector's Editions of the games when the original game came out. The only downfall to starting a New Game Plus is you don't actually get to see the full introduction to the game, which I was kind of disappointed by, because I was like, I'd kind of like to see the introduction again. I thought that was a really neat introduction. And having finished the game now, I would like to actually go back and look at the introduction again from a new perspective of understanding what Aloy is going to learn through her journeys.
I think the introduction actually adds to this story.
It does. It definitely does.
Your character, one of the main characters, the character that teaches Aloy everything, basically, Rost. Yeah, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but in the introduction, he has this baby, Aloy. He's taking her to All Mother, I believe it's called?
To All Mother Mountain.
All Mother Mountain. There's this ceremony that when a baby is born...
They have to wait 6 months to make sure the child will survive infancy before they're allowed to officially name the child. Once the child reaches 6 months of age, they take the child to this spot on All Mother Mountain. They hold the child over the valley, which is Mother's Embrace, I think, or the Sacred Lands, so that, in effect, you're presenting the child to the tribe. And you yell the child's name to the rising sun. And that is basically telling the All-Mother, this child is now under your protection. One of my favorite parts about this introduction, though, is you get to see right away that there's something really odd with this child, because as he's going to this ceremony, he runs into 2 elders. One of them is Tirsa, And she's welcoming Rost and saying, well, I'm glad that you brought the child. How is the child doing? Things like that. And this is when you learn that the child is an orphan. And then there's Lancera, and she's kind of looking at Tirsa, and she looks at Rost, and she's like, how dare you let him come to this sacred place? He is outcast. The child is outcast. They cannot be here. And so right away it sets up that division.
Right, and that's kind of a theme throughout this whole game is outsider. You're an outsider. The tribe does not accept you. The tribe does not welcome you. And then later in the game, the tribe kind of does. But then as you're going on to the world, everybody says, oh, you're the Nora tribe?
Yep.
So they kind of don't accept the tribe that isn't accepting you.
The thing with the Nora tribe is they have a belief that if you ever step foot out of Mother's embrace, out of the sacred lands, and you have stepped out of sight of the sacred mountain, you have shunned yourself from the tribe for the rest of your days. So when you go to places outside of this valley, this very sheltered valley, you run into people from different cultures, and they're like, I've never seen a Nora before. You're Nora? What are you doing here? We've told you a little bit about Aloy. I want to set up the setting for you. You are actually playing on Earth in the 31st century. You get introduced to Rost when he takes Aloy to her naming ceremony. That's where you are also finding out that everything's not as it seems. You've heard us talk about the idea of outcast with the Nora. If a Nora tribes member speaks to a person who is outcast, they receive the punishment of becoming outcast themselves, which is why outcasts are shunned. And once we get through this introduction that Chris and I have talked about, you get to fast forward to 7 years later. Aloy is now a 7-year-old girl, and she's exploring her environment and trying to learn about her environment, and that's when she really learns the meaning of you are outcast, when she sees children her own age and she wants to go play with them. And this all happens in the first half hour of the game. And she wants to go play with them, and she doesn't understand why their mothers are telling the children, no, you don't talk to her, you don't look at her, she is outcast, you have to shun her. And so she asks Rost about it, and Rost says, well, it's because you are motherless, because you are an orphan. We don't know who your mother was, we don't know who your father was, you just turned up one day. So she wants to find out, well, who's my mother? And Rost explains to Aloy that there's something called the Proving, which you can compete in when you are 19 years old, in your 19th winter. What that is youth who are born as outcast and raised as outcast can earn their way into the tribe by completing the Proving. That doesn't necessarily mean they will always be accepted, as Chris has alluded to, but they can earn their way into the Proving. One thing to remember is throughout this game, you will have conversations with NPCs, and you always have an option as far as how you will respond, sort of like the Mass Effect games did, where they would... the difference is Mass Effect would tell you the responses that you would give. In this game, you can choose to react with compassion, with thoughtfulness, or with a very harsh attitude. And then it'll frame the words for you. So during the Proving, Aloy and the other youth who are competing are actually attacked by members of a group called the Eclipse. Almost everyone is killed. I think Aloy might be the only one that survives, or one of 3 or 4 that survive, out of 20 or 30 youth who compete. She is mortally wounded by the NPC Helis. He actually cuts her throat. And so after this, the people in the tribe are accepting that she won the Proving, she is a brave, but there's something different about her. Like, how did she survive this mortal wound? So after this, you are given a mission, the overall game quest, which is to seek vengeance for the Proving. That's your overall game quest. In Aloy's journey to seek vengeance, she's going to leave the Sacred Lands. She's going to meet a lot of characters. She's going to meet Sylens. He's going to teach her about this device that she finds when she's a child. It's called a focus. It allows you to see the world through kind of a 6th and even 7th sense. It heightens your hearing and it heightens your sight. She is going to meet Erend. She is going to meet Avad. She's going to have more run-ins with Helis. So there's a lot of characters in the game that are a huge influence to Aloy. And as she journeys, she gets to learn about the origins of the machines. Why there are machines, and what are these structures that were built by the old ones. You get to go up in these old dilapidated structures and you get to find data points where it alludes to what was going on in the year 2046. So it's pretty interesting. Now, one thing I do want to touch on is this game has very heavy subject matter if you are reading and listening to all the data points. and watching all the holo scenes that you can find, because without giving any spoilers, basically in the year 2046, a decision was made, and it was a very stupid decision that would cause the extinction of all of humanity. So Aloy's world is the reboot. I don't want to get too much further into that, but what I will say to you is it can get quite emotional. Listening to those data points, that is literally the only place in the game that I ever heard anything more severe than the word damn. And it wasn't even anything really bad. I think the only word I ever heard was the S word. Another cool thing, or just a continuation here, a full sequel may be on the way.
So the narrative director, John Gonzalez, he explained that one of the major priorities would be to respect the emotional connection fans had with Aloy and attempt to build the game that resonates just as deeply. Guerrilla's number one goal in a sequel is to honor the player's response to Aloy and respect the connection. Sony has expressed faith that the Horizon Zero Dawn franchise has enough staying power to make Aloy a PlayStation icon in the future, which gives the credence to the idea that Aloy will be featured in sequels of the game. There's a possibility that Guerrilla will go the route of Assassin's Creed with multiple protagonists, and fans have even cosplayed Aloy before the release of the game, so it was even pretty popular back then. It's rare to find a video game with a female heroine that isn't like dressed skimpy.
Right, and Aloy is dressed in very practical clothes. Like, she's fully covered in armor, and she's ready to go to battle. She's not wearing stuff that's showing off different body parts.
So I think that's why she was cosplayed so much.
Yep.
Is because
even in 2015, I saw people cosplaying as her, even though we didn't know who she was.
Right, and I did hear about sequels of the game possibly being made. Guerrilla Games actually wants to explore different genres, so not all third-person shooters, which is what
basically what this is.
What Horizon Zero Dawn is.
With a bow and arrow.
So, did you want to talk about the rating of this game?
Yeah, I will talk a little bit about the rating. I was really surprised. It's rated T for teen. And what I did is I broke down the rating. So I've got the headings for what it's rated for T for. And then I explained where in the game you're going to run into that.
All right.
So if you want to just explain the ratings real quick, I'll do the breakdown.
So, yeah, it is rated T for teen. The first thing on the list is alcohol reference, blood, mild language, mild sexual themes, tobacco reference, and violence.
So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the alcohol and tobacco reference. This one is really mostly talked about when you meet the Oseram characters, Olem and Erend, and they talk about how they're drinking buddies and they're going to go out drinking, and maybe Aloy should join them at some point, but Aloy never actually partakes in any scenes that you can see people drinking alcoholic beverages. You will see people smoking. Typically it's in like a ritualistic fashion. So if you think about the fact that you've got a Nora tribe, it really seems to be very heavily dependent on Native American overtones, Native American beliefs. So I guess I kind of took that as part of that culture. The blood, in all honesty, the only blood I saw was in cinematics, and it wasn't overdone. So, for example, there's one scene where a character is bleeding from her ears after being tortured with a supersonic device. So she's got a blood trickle coming out of her ear in a cinematic. It's not overdone. It's literally like a drop. You'll see small scratches on Aloy throughout the game. I mean, if you think about it, you're going through brambles and thorn bushes, you're going to get scratches. It's part of life. Aloy's wounds after significant wounding in battle. For example, at the Proving, when her throat gets slit, you can see a little bit of blood, but other than that, you don't see much. And then I don't think I ever saw any blood spray or splatter. And then during gameplay, when Aloy gets really severely injured, like her health is below 20%, you'll get a red haze around the edges of your screen.
Like pretty much all games do nowadays.
Right. It'll just kind of pulse that, hey, heal yourself. And then there's mild language. As I alluded to earlier, I think the worst word is the S word, and that's when you're watching Hollows from the year 2046. And then other than that, the word damn gets thrown around a lot. But I don't think that that's necessarily a horrible word when you think about other games out there. Or even movies that are out there, TV shows, whatever. Mild sexual themes, I honestly, keep in mind, I just started my third playthrough. I can't remember anything sexual from the game. and I've almost done all of the optional content. I think I missed 2 cauldrons on my last playthrough and a bandit camp. It's literally fighting and killing machines or bandits. If I missed sexual themes in this game, that means that they have got to be pretty darn tame. The closest thing that I can think of is that there is an implied relationship between the Sun King and an NPC. I don't want to say any more than that because that will really give away some spoilers. It does have to do with something that Aloy says to him pretty near the end of the game. And then, of course, I have not found all of the data points yet, so there's a possibility there might be something in one of those data points. But in all honesty, it's not that big of a thing to me if I can't even find it. And then the violence that is alluded to in the rating, it is there. You're hunting wildlife for supplies. You're hunting machines. By machines, we don't mean like iRobot cyborg type machines. The Earth has been populated with pretty much every animal form is some form of machine. So the birds are machines. The horses, large animals are machines. There are some machine dinosaurs. So yeah, you're hunting machines. Some machines will attack you on sight. Bandits, the Eclipse, the Shadow Karja, and when you run into him, Hades.
So Liz, you mentioned about a frustration level in this game. How frustrating would it be for like younger, I believe teen is 13 plus. So how frustrating would it be for 13-year-olds to play this game?
It really depends. If they are the kind of kid that wants to explore the whole world in the game and look around and find things, it won't be as frustrating because they're going to be killing things as they go, which means they're going to be leveling Aloy, which means they're going to be able to craft their storage packs larger and whatnot. What I did find was quite often when the game says a quest is level 15, that means level 25 minimum to make it doable. Like, for example, there was a level 15 quest that I think I tried. Oh no, it was level 23. On my first playthrough, I did a level 23 quest. I attempted it at level 25. After about 3 hours, I gave up. I went and I did other stuff, and I came back and I did this at level 36, and I barely pulled it off. Now, on my second playthrough, that same quest, I was able to do it as soon as I came upon it in the quest line. Now, you have to understand, I was about level 46 when I came upon it the second time, and I had the endgame gear from finding the endgame gear from my first playthrough, which you cannot find until you've completed the game. This is actually the only reason I haven't completed the Frozen Wilds yet. My current quest, right before I started my game over to try and get the intro for our video tonight, was level 52, and my Aloy is level 53. I tried the current quest several times. I've died lots of different ways. So basically, I'm going to grind Aloy out to level 60 before I go back to the Frozen Wilds.
One thing you mentioned earlier on is they did introduce a story mode, which the story mode does make this a lot easier. It's easier than easy mode.
Yep, we got it with the Frozen Wild.
So yeah, if you already do have the base game, the Horizon Zero Dawn, you don't have to buy the complete edition. You can just buy the Frozen Wild expansion. I believe that we bought it when Sony was running a 25% off, so it was only $15 for us. And probably during the Christmas months here, they're probably going to be, if not 25% off, they might be knocking it down 50% off, so $10 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Frozen Wilds is definitely worth the money. It does add some new things to explore and to take care of for Aloy, and it was a lot of fun. I was really enjoying it. As I said, I haven't actually completed it yet because I wanted to restart the game and try and get the intro for our video tonight.
Alright, so since you're a big fan, I went onto Amazon and I searched for pretty much everything Horizon Zero Dawn, and I found this book by Justin Hobbs that it was called, what was it called? Zero Dawn?
Zero Dawn.
Just Zero Dawn. And I'm like, well, she's a book nerd. She might like this, so I picked it up for you. How'd you like it?
Well, I love the gesture. I really do.
That doesn't sound good.
This book came out October 24th, 2017. Well, it doesn't speak well when the cover art on the book is plagiarized from Game Informer from 1 year earlier. Seriously, folks, look it up. Game Informer magazine, October 2016, and then look up Zero Dawn by Justin Hobbs. It's the exact same cover art. I'm surprised he hasn't been sued by Game Informer yet.
Maybe they're just not aware of it yet.
They might be now.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry. The book's approximately 100 pages long, which I was disappointed in because, as I understand it, I think you paid $8 or $9 for this book.
I can't remember.
Which I would be looking for a 300 or 400 page long book with about 10-point font, properly spaced pages. I didn't get any of that. The main premise of this book is you're searching for Elizabeth Sobek. Well, you find her on page 30. The rest of the book is you're going to Oseram to get a new invention. Stun arrows. Apparently Justin's Aloy hasn't heard of these, but my Aloy had them at about level 15 on my first playthrough. The book is incredibly poorly written. The spacing is horrible. You'll be reading sometimes and it'll be like, you'll be reading a sentence and it'll be the Stormbird. And it's like, why did you have 5 thes?
Really?
Did you not check this before you sent it to your editor? Did your editor not check this?
You're saying that there might not have been an editor. This might have been self-published.
I think this was probably self-published and he didn't bother to check the formatting or anything. And on Amazon, prior to our video, there were 3 reviews for the book. All 3 mentioned that the writer of the book clearly has either not played the game or completely ignored huge things from the game that he mentions in the book. They're canon breaking. I can't talk about them here because that would be spoilers. But it was just kind of like, no, that's not how that would work. Thanks for trying though, buddy. He completely ignored the ending of the game. And then, of course, the way that it was just so poorly written. Like, typically I can read a 100-page book in about 2 or 3 hours. It took me a week to read it because I was having so much difficulty with the way that he wrote it. Interestingly enough, before doing this video, I went on Amazon and I looked it up. By the way, there's now 4 reviews because I did one. That book's not even available for purchase anymore. It's been pulled from Amazon. You can look it up, but you can't buy it.
Maybe Guerrilla Games or maybe Game Informer did find it and maybe they shut it down.
I hope so because it was a very poor example of everything that this game offers. I felt it really detracted from the game. So in other words, don't buy the book.
So all in all, I don't see any problems about letting children under 13 play this game. The only problem I would say is sometimes in some missions you do actually hunt humans.
Yep. Specifically when you're dealing with the Eclipse or the Bandit camps. You will run into a character, this isn't anything huge, his name is Nil. I think you run into him about a third of the way through the game, and he turns up at bandit camps when you're going to go in and
that guy.
Clear the bandit camps.
He actually turns up right as you leave Mother's Embrace or whatever it's called.
Nope.
Yeah, he did on my game.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't run into him until I'd been in Karja territory for a while.
Nope.
So anyway, the thing is, if you talk to Nil, you can actually get an extra experience boost for defeating the bandit camp. But he's kind of got some questionable ethics. I'll just put it that way. Basically, during the wars that were happening before Aloy was born, he was a mercenary that would go in and basically work for the highest bidder. And his thing is, well, I'm good at killing people, so I kill people. That's what I do. And everyone kills people, and that's what everyone wants to do. And so, I mean, with Nil, and then just with the heaviness of the data points, would be why I would caution getting this for younger children.
Well, ultimately, it is up to the parent. If you feel your child
can handle that,
is responsible enough to handle this subject matter, and they might only be like 10, 11 years old, fine. It's like movies,
You know your kid better than we do.
Yeah, I've known some people that let their 12-year-olds watch rated R movies. And rated R, I think, is 18 plus. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's like the M rating for games. So, what would you recommend, for alternatives to this game? I mean, it is pretty tame. It's probably actually the tamest of this genre out there. Except for, maybe Zelda or something, like Breath of the Wild.
Well, I think it depends on what you're looking for the recommendation for. If you're a person who's just finished the game and you're looking for something new to play that you haven't played, a couple that came to mind for me were the Assassin's Creed series. Mm-hmm. You told me that Origins was very similar to this, actually, as far as gameplay went. And Watch Dogs 1 and 2 are really fun. And then if you're looking for something else for your teenager or your child, I've heard great things about ReCore. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I've heard great things about it. And ReCore is rated T. Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs are M. And pretty much every Zelda game under the sun is going to be a lot of fun for your kids if they liked Horizon Zero Dawn. The Zelda games are T or below.
Yeah, there's Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Switch and the Wii U. There's also Twilight Princess for the Wii U and the Wii. There's Wind Waker for the GameCube and the Wii. That's going back a while. You might not be able to find versions of that affordable. They also have Zelda on the Virtual Console, which actually has not come to the Switch yet, which is disappointing, but is available on the Wii U.
Overall, this game, Horizon Zero Dawn, is amazing. It would make a great gift for anyone who hasn't played it yet. I would recommend getting the strategy guide off Amazon because I haven't found it at Best Buy, but because it will help you if you've got a person in your life that wants to be able to get those data points. It'll help them find where those are. It will also give them hints on how to defeat the machines, so they don't have to do trial and error, waste their resources. They can actually look up, oh, I'm being introduced to a corruptor, so I'm going to look up how to defeat a corruptor. Oh, I'm being introduced to a sawtooth. How do I defeat a sawtooth without dying? Things like that will really be helpful for playing through this game. So if you pick up the game, go ahead and add the extra $20 to get the strategy guide for them as well. Okay, well, that's our show.
All right.
So make sure and hit the subscribe button. Leave us some comments. Let us know what games you want to hear about. And check us out next time.
All right. Until then, have a good one.